All right, so I got these pads in here to just kind of show you the difference between quality sandpaper, wet, wet dry sanding disc, and this that's not so quality. And this here, it was dry in the middle, but eventually it got wet. This is not a pretty good brand to me. I used this on a job, and eventually the this here is separated. You see how the backing separates from the sand paper itself. So that's a very bad quality, and you'll have to change these out pretty regularly. You pretty much will have to do it anyway because I use a 400 to remove the clear coats on vehicles, and you'll need 10 to 12 of these when you're doing one vehicle. But I just don't like how fast that starts coming off of this sanding disc. Now, I don't know if the other one do the same thing. Let's see. And let's go for it. Okay, not as, yeah, see. Now, let's see. No, no. So this one don't do it as readily as that one. So I go along the edges, and you see it still stays on. Zoom in there. Okay. So this is a much better quality wet, dry sanding disc. Okay, so I will have these in stock. If you guys want to be able to get a hold of some quality wet, dry sanding disc, the backings will actually stay on it as opposed to this cheap stuff. And obviously this is probably from China, but this is a much better brand. So this really is a true wet sand disc, whereas this here is, it's just cloth, and even the sanding material itself almost feels like it's cheaper. So I've had to really kind of shop around to find me the best sanding disc that I can have, because I don't want to be having to blow through the sanding disc so fast because the backing just started falling apart on it. Alrighty, so just go on my website. You'll see where you'll be able to order these. If it's not on the site, it'll be up there soon. And so for the 400, you'll get 10 of these, because if you do a vehicle, you're gonna need 10, and that's when you're removing clear coat. As far as the other ones, 600 grit up to 2,000, I'll give you about you get I think you'll get 10 of those. Yeah, each one will be able to do a vehicle, so you can use one on each vehicle. So you get 10 of them. So for each grit size, there'll be 10, and you can do 10 jobs. So I'm kind of putting it in a pack, a ready pack. I want you to have quality disc that you guys can use. As far as I know, this is probably the closest thing that you'll get to 3M, and we know 3M sanding discs are really the best, top notch. It's been hard for me to find 3M, 400, and if you do, it's going to cost you a lot more. So that's really why I've been looking for other alternatives to use. When it comes to the 3,000 grit, I gotta go 3M. I will not I will not settle for anything less when it comes to the 3,000, because that's when you're finishing off the job and you want the headlights to look spectacular. But as far as taking off the oxidation and working up to smoothing out the plastic, up to 2,000, I'll go with a much better quality disc as opposed to these cheap glued on ones. Anyway, so the sanding disc you get from me will be much better in quality. Alrighty, so I just thought I'd do this video here just to show you guys the difference between a better quality disc that you'll be able to order from me as opposed to this stuff. Okay, so back on the table in my studio, you can tell here the cheap brand there, more quality brand here. The backing stays on, whereas the backing comes off on the cheap one. And even when you fold it, you can tell because you can take the quality one and you can bend it. It still got good curvature to it. But these cheapies, you know, I mean, when you bend it, I mean, look how you get folds in it. I mean, it's just so cheap, you know. And so that's what you got to watch out for. All right, so now as you can see, they're both dry, and you can really see the cheap stuff. I mean, after it dried, it curled up like a very brittle potato chip. But the professional, high quality wet sanding disc, it still looks good. Nothing separated, still intact, and it still looks presentable. I mean, I have to admit, I mean, there's a little bit of a bow there, but it maintained a lot of its dignity. I mean, this one here just totally threw in a towel, and it's cheap. Okay, so to really give this a real good test, to be honest, we're gonna put this on the hook and loop, and we're gonna peel it, see how much the fabric separates from it, and we're gonna put this one in, put this on the hook and loop, since it was soaked in the water as well, and then peel it off and see if the fabric comes off. And I mean, I'll be honest, if it comes off, it'll come off. But this one's already started to come off, so it's gonna have a pretty bad start. Okay, so now here's a nitty-gritty test. So after I soak both of these in water, it's time for me to test it out, putting it on the hook and loop and see how it peels off. Like I say, this guy, he may have a pretty bad start, but this is what will happen. I mean, once you finish using the sanding disc and you've been using the water, you know, you wet sanding, you're spraying on the water and you're sanding with this, and then when it comes to taking it off, you're gonna have a peel. So, you know, and there it is. So you just lost your whole hook and loop fabric. I mean, obviously that can't work anymore now, but that's what you get with cheap stuff. Now this soaked in the water as well with that one, and this is supposed to be the better one. So let's see what happens here. I mean, I'll be honest, if it peels, it peels. Okay, let's make sure it's on there pretty good. Okay, now you're done with the job, doing a headlight, and let's take it off. Look at that. No problem, guys. No problem. Let's put that on real good, right? All right, let's see if we can go with the edge here. Look at that. Still intact. That's a better quality wet sanding disc that you want to have. And this is what you want to be able to order. I have these that you can order. If it's not on the site, it will soon be there. So I call this one of the important sanding discs that you need for removing clear coat from the headlights. You're going to need about, but with the cheap stuff, I needed 10 of them. You may just need 8 of these, but I'll always recommend just getting 10 anyway. It's not so much as the backing coming off as opposed to maybe just the grits wearing down, taking off that clear coat. But this is top notch, better than that. So I'll have the 600s, 800, 1000, 2000s that you'll be able to get. And it's basically what I call the 10 vehicle job pack. So you'll be able to do 10 vehicles. Alrighty. So I just thought I'd make this video, be honest with you guys, see, you know, so you guys can see a better quality wet dry sanding disc, a true wet dry sanding disc. I don't know, this is a wannabe wet dry sanding disc, but it did not prove to be what it said it was. I mean, I ordered this stuff and I thought it was wet dry, and I'll have to go back and look at the original order, see if the product actually said wet dry. If it did, I mean, this was bogus. All right, this is Neil, just keeping it real. Catch your next video.